surviving and navigating corporate America is incredibly taxing. And so there does come a point where you have to advocate for yourself. You have to realize that the job is going to be fine. The company is going to be fine, right? You have to focus on you. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's true. There is only one you. There is only one you, and you are the secret sauce in your life. And so let the companies fend for themselves. In this particular case, I decided to advocate for myself.
All right, amazing. Welcome our Embracing Only family. Oh my gosh, do we have a treat for you today? And I know we say that all the time, but today for real this time, it's like a super big treat. But we have the famous Lisa Hurley with us. So if you don't know Lisa, Lisa is an entrepreneur. She's a writer. She's an Anthem award-winning activist. Her work centers Black women and encompasses self-care, community care, and Black joy. She is the founder and CEO of The Great Exhale, which, by the way, I'm a part of and absolutely love, an award-winning private membership community that is a soft, safe place for Black women. She's also the founder of For the Culture and the Coins, a movement dedicated to inspiring Black people to build whole life wealth. Who doesn't need more of that? With a passion for speaking out that really is in opposition to her natural introversion, Lisa is a prolific podcaster. She is the co-founder and co-host of the Introvert Sisters podcast, speaking directly to me, I will tell you, and a former co-host of the Tea on Tap podcast, a hair and beauty show for women with curly, kinky, and coily tresses. Lisa was also one of the hosts of Real Talk on Racism, a public affairs TV show that amplified the issues and voices of people of color. Lisa is a powerful voice and has been honored as one of the top 20 entrepreneurs to follow on LinkedIn. She's also one of the top 50 Black creators on LinkedIn and is a top 10 LinkedIn creator in inclusion and diversity worldwide. In addition, Lisa has been honored as an introvert to watch and as one of the POC Stocks, the Future of Black America Top 50 Leaders. Lisa is also of Caribbean heritage. Woo! Lisa is a proud alumna of the University of West Indies. She's one of a handful to have been featured in Forbes and on the NASDAQ screen in Times Square. She's also an alum of New York University, a member of Forbes BLK, a member of the Black Excellence Society, and an advisory board member of DG Sentinel. I'm exhausted just reading all of those accomplishments, but holy crap, if that wasn't enough, Lisa was also awarded, her work has been featured and quoted in Essence, Fast Company, Entrepreneur, Adweek, and more. She is known for her warmth, her wisdom, and wit, and she is also a sought-after writer, speaker, and panelist. Lisa, welcome to the Embracing Only podcast.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Well, thank you. I was like, who is this?
You're
talking about?
You are amazing, Lisa. And I was going to say this, that Olivia was reading that bio, and I don't feel like the bio even does it justice, because you're just on a whole other level, Lisa. You really are. You give so much to your community and even beyond your community. So just thank you. I'm just so grateful to have found you in this lovely little part of the world.
Thank you. And thank you both for inviting me on. As soon as you asked, I very excitedly said yes. And I haven't been saying yes to that many things, to be honest. But this is one I'm like, oh, absolutely. I'm there. I'm 100% there immediately. And so I love what you all are doing and I'm a fan. And so thank you very much for having me.
So, Archita, I know we have quite the list of questions. As Lisa, you've been in. So we want to start it off. And I think the first question that we have for you is on valuing work and compensation. So, Lisa, you started this whole movement called Free is Canceled. How do you balance the need for compensation with opportunities for a broader impact or reaching underserved communities? I think we've all been on a journey here. And sometimes you get asked to do things, but then people don't want to pay. And sometimes you're like, this is my passion thing. It's fine. I'll do something for free. How do you balance that?
Yeah, well, okay. So let me start by saying I'm a podcaster, as you mentioned, right? And so for podcasts and things of that nature, I look at that as, shall we say, equal exchange. Everybody benefits. And so to me, that's a different kind of scenario. There's nuance for everything, depending on context. Where I object to unpaid labor is, let's say, for example, a multi-million-dollar company, multi-million, sometimes even multi-billion. So they have the budget. I consider it to be disrespectful, among other things, to ask anybody for that kind of company at that kind of level, to ask anyone to work for free, to speak for free, to present whatever it happens to be, especially when they know they have the budget. Just pay people. It is the absolute minimum that they could do. And when it comes to people of color, when it comes to Black people, they should be ensuring that they pay equitably. Because, of course, the wage gap or the payment gap is also a factor to be considered as well. So how I make decisions in terms of what I will and will not do for free is depending on, is there a relationship between myself and this person? And the relationship, there are different ways of defining that. The three of us, for example, although this is the first time we're seeing each other, shall we say, in person, so to speak, we do know each other. We are in community with each other. We do have a relationship, a friendship between us. And so that is one circumstance. So it depends on relationship. It depends on the approach. There are times where people will approach you with the utmost audacity and disrespect. And bearing in mind, they're asking you to work for free, right? And then they approach you as if they are doing you a favor. Okay, I think not. If for work for companies or movements that are driven by purpose, that are mission driven, sometimes you can make an exception and work for free there. But I will say this, look, everybody deserves some kind of equal exchange for their time, their energy, their expertise. It does not always have to be money, but it should be something. The something can be anything ranging from a simple thank you and having good manners. That helps a lot, right? Up to actual payment. But there has to be some form of exchange. This is my message to all of the, especially the new speakers out there, people who are at the beginning of their journey. Insist on something if you can. Insist on something if you can. Whether it is, if they're not paying an actual speaker fee, can they cover your room and board, your accommodation, your flight? Can you ensure that they give you a referral or recommendation? There's so many different ways. But yes, and I also want to make sure to say that although I made the term free is cancelled popular, I'm going to give a big shout out to one of your former guests, Mita Malik, who, yes, I think I saw it on, I don't know if I saw it on one of her posts or something. And then when she and I did a couple of LinkedIn Lives together, and she was like, oh, what should we talk about? And I said, well, based on your last post, we should talk about free is cancelled. And that's like how it took off. So I made it popular. She is the originator. So I always want to make sure to cite people. Yeah.
I love that. Sharing the flowers. I didn't know that came from Mita, so we'll have to ping her. And what I love about what you just said, I think you're really teaching people how to treat you. Mm-hmm. Right? Free is canceled. And that can be applied to folks working in corporate. When these corporations can ask you to do crazy things and you're like, I'm sorry, am I getting paid for this? Because this is going to take me 6 hours to do. So what's the benefit here? I love it.
Women especially fall into that trap a lot of doing these amorphous, uncompensated tasks, right? That are like, are you getting a promotion out of this? Are you getting some kind of visibility out of this? What are you getting? If you're not getting anything, let somebody else do it and be okay with that, because it's probably saying no to being the person. Now, okay, let me take this back a bit. If you are the person whose job it is to do certain, let me say, how do you say it, household tasks, etc. If that is your actual role, that's one thing. If that is not your role, then you should not be the person bringing the coffee. You should not be the person ordering the snacks. There's an entire housekeeping and catering and custodial staff to do those things. That if that is not your job, then that is not your job. Don't do it.
Yes, we've spoken about this in an episode before where, there was a study, I think it was Harvard Business Review or McKinsey, I cannot remember, where they said that women do on average 200 hours of extra housework in a year compared to men. We don't even have time to show up at home. We're doing 200 hours of extra housework at work. And there's a story I've shared before, but it's worth repeating is I noticed I was doing this in my career in a pattern over and over again because I was like, I've got to change the system. We've got to change this. We've got to do that. Let me go do this. And it was finally a man, like a leader, a white man, who was like, Archita, this is not in your OKRs. It's not in your objectives. Let us put it in your objectives because you need to be whatever reward is, right? It doesn't have to be compensation, as you said. It could be an opportunity to sit on a global panel. It could be an opportunity to get on a stage I would not have had access to, but you need to be recognized for the work you are doing. So capture two things. So he also had me whittle it down. Capture two things you want to drive with excellence. And I'm going to back you up all the way to the end. And this is that extra housework that normally goes unchecked. So to anyone listening, sit down with your manager, lead that conversation if you have to, because otherwise you're constantly, as Olivia says, you're not going to be honoring your yeses in the chase for the no's. Or what is it, Olivia? Correct me here.
Yeah, it's embracing your no's so you can honor your yeses.
Amen. Amen. I love that. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I always say, look, saying yes, saying no to someone else or something else is saying yes to yourself.
Yes.
Say that no, embrace it. And again, be prepared. Some people are not going to respond well. That is okay. Be disliked but compensated, right? That's all right.
That is money. Be disliked but compensated. Oh my gosh.
This is our new tagline. Amen. Amen to that. The mission cannot be. As a matter of fact, I read an article this morning, Lisa, about likability and how women, I think it was a Forbes article, but how women place a premium on likability, and it's contributing to the gender pay gap, to the broken rung syndrome, to all of these issues that McKinsey has highlighted in the report of women in the workplace that they do annually. And the root of it, they're coming to find, is actually likability, because we will burn ourselves out to be liked. And it's a metric that your brain cannot even begin to comprehend how to go about accomplishing your mission. And
you can't measure it. You can't measure it.
You can't measure it. You can't measure it. And so in comes imposter syndrome, in comes anxiety, in comes all of these things because we have aligned to the wrong mission. So I love that quote. Officially stealing that, giving Lisa credit.
No problem. But I think that starts with how many of us, if you look across cultures, it's not a race thing. I think it is a culture thing. It is a gender thing. Women are generally socialized to be nice, to be acceptable, to be palatable, to be liked. That's why if you're trained basically from birth that in order for you to be seen as a valuable human being, you must be liked and be nice and be approved of, then that is what happens as a result.
Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia Cream. If you are a corporate girly and you are struggling, you're feeling stuck, maybe you're feeling underpaid, overqualified, you're struggling with your boss, or bigger yet, you're even trying to clearly articulate what it is that you want from your corporate career, I am the coach for you. So if you're ambitious and you've got goals to accomplish and you want to accomplish them quickly, check out my website, oliviacream.com. I would love to help you reach your goals.
Hi, everybody. I'm Archita Fritz, your other host of the Embracing Only podcast. If you're ready to leave corporate, or you've changed a couple of corporate jobs and want to start a profitable side brilliance. You've made the decision, but you feel unsure of the next steps. Here's how I can help you. I can guide you through a successful transition to entrepreneurship to help turn those ideas into profit. So reach out to me on LinkedIn or visit me on architafritz.com to accelerate your empowered transitions. Now, back to the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I don't know. It's interesting because growing up, I very much grew up in a society where likability was very critical and important. But I had an example with my mom because she was one and only in her environment as a CPA amongst a bunch of men. And so to her, she threw likability out the window. If I need to thrive amongst these men, I'm going to just show up. And to her, it was show up as one of them. Right. But in her own way, right? Because it was India and she was an only woman at the leadership level, a lot of other garbage going on. And so that woman just spoke up, said her thing, had no qualms. And I grew up literally watching her on the dot matrix printer, like printing out her freaking P&Ls and like doing things and commanding the room. And so to me, I didn't care so much about likability until I entered corporate America. So that was a big, I need to be all like, oh, hi, it's so great to meet you, which is not the saccharine sweetness, which is sickening. I'm like, so
interesting to hear you do that. And then your entire pitch, you just went up like three. I'm laughing, but it's really sad because we all do it. All do it. Yes.
Yes. And so there's this thing, a quote that you reposted or shared, and it was by Ruth Aben, and it really ties to like our podcast as well about being the one, the only. And she said that, is it really self-care that you're doing or self-preservation to survive the system? There may come a day where you will need to let that system take care of itself. They need us more than we need them. And I thought it was beautiful. What parts of that resonated with you as you shared that too? Because we're all going through this journey in the corporate world here.
Surviving and navigating corporate America is incredibly taxing. And so there does come a point where you have to advocate for yourself. You have to realize that the job is going to be fine. The company is going to be fine, right? You have to focus on you. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's true. There is only one you. There is only one you, and you are the secret sauce in your life. And so let the companies fend for themselves. In this particular case, I decided to advocate for myself. I'm like, I absolutely need a break. I advocated for myself, and now I am on leave because I refuse to continue to participate in being in my own demise and in being burned out and in being just having too much of a burden.
Yeah.
Too many asks, to just the ability to have mastery over your time is really the true wealth of the world.
Gosh, Lisa, I resonate with that so much. You have no idea, because I am a natural, probably overachiever. And we give ourselves these labels in corporate. We give ourselves these labels, right? And back to Archita's point and your point, which is that the corporations will take care of themselves. At some point in time, the corporations have done such a good job with their PR on us, right? That we believe that we are so essential to the life, right? It's like we're getting some sort of validation that we all need because of childhood, because of societal norms, because of whatever. And the corporations are so savvy in terms of human psychology and the way the brain works that they know exactly what little things to give you that little dopamine hit that keeps you working until you drop, and then still wondering how you can work some more, even when you're laying in a ditch, half functioning, you're still worried about, oh my God, I need to do this thing for the corporation. And it's actually insanity, quite frankly.
It is.
Until we realize we're the assets, right? And the system doesn't exist without our cooperation.
That is
it. It doesn't exist. So it's the onus is on us. And a lot of people give me flack for saying this, but we don't control the system, but we are a critical component of it. So the minute you decide enough is enough, I'm not operating like this anymore, the more of us that decide that, guess what happens? The system changes because it doesn't function without us. We have the power if only we would learn.
I don't want to do a round of applause, but when throwing the mic and the sound quality, but round of applause to everything that you just said. And you would know, like one of the things in the Great Exhale, almost, not every Monday, but almost every Monday, I'm like, hey, don't forget to go slow this Monday. Go slow. Ease into your week. The company will be fine. Unless it really is. Most of us, unless we're like, I don't know, in the medical field, are we a firefighter or something along those terms? Most of what we do, it is not life or death. It is not that urgent. We are made, like you said, Olivia, we're made to feel that it is, but it actually is not. So take your time. Take your time, take a break, go slow. I'm not saying don't do your work. I think it sounds like we all are type A-ish, overachiever-ish. And so if that is encoded in your DNA, even your 50% is going to be probably most people's 100%, right? So it's not that I'm not advocating not to do what you're paid to do. You absolutely, ethically and for other reasons, show up and do what you are being paid to do. But you don't need to burn yourself out in order to do it.
I was just talking to a friend of mine today, and I was recollecting a time where I was in the thick of drinking this Kool-Aid, right? Like I show up, I perform, I get pats on back, I keep performing. I was a 22-year-old and I was taking my mom for her first cruise. She had never been on a cruise before. And so it was just the girls, my sister, and I think Olivia's heard this story before, but it was my sister, me, and my mom. And I had just got this full-time job, like with a visa, right? Like I'm an immigrant in the US, like with a visa, I'm like killing it, crushing it. And I have money to go on a vacation. So we take her to the Caribbean. We're on this cruise. And this is the back in the day. So I'm really going to date myself. When people used to use Facebook, like the main feed as messaging. So we would just message in the main feed. Like, hey, then somebody else would reply, how are you? Oh, we're doing good. I don't know if you remember this. This was right at the beginning. Okay. And so I messaged my friend and she's like on the main feed. She literally sent me a screenshot of this. And you remember this time when you were, and I'll let you think what the last words were. And she said, Archita, how are you doing? Are you enjoying the cruise? The sunshine's got to be amazing. And I used to work in Michigan. So the sunshine is always amazing and welcome. And I respond with the following. Christy, this is exactly how I felt when I was typing it. I was like, yeah, it's nice. It's great. But I really miss closing complaints. I was a quality engineer and I was in the Caribbean in the middle of just gorgeous beauty. And I was like, I miss closing complaints. And she just documented. And honestly, it's taken me until my early 30s or mid 30s to even realize this, that was redonkulous. So my message to all of you, don't be that
hilarious
person.
And it breaks my heart for you. See sometimes these posts of people like literally from their hotel bed. What are you doing? Or I remember being where was I going? Probably back home to Barbados. I don't remember. On a plane, like the plane, the door's about to close. Relax, get off the phone. This person's on the phone. Well, I don't know if I can make it. The door is about to close. And I was like, just turn your phone off. The meeting is going to be, whatever meeting you're in, I assure you, it is going to be fine. A decision will be made. The couple of hours that you're going to spend on this flight, the world is not going to fall apart. You will be okay. They will be okay. And we love to, again, like you said, the companies have done a job on us. They've done such a job where we think that we are so vital to everything. The only thing we are vital to is our own lives and the people that are closest to us, that really actually care. The companies do not care. They don't, especially the ones that are like, we're like a family. I'm like, as soon as I hear that, I'm like,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
All of the red flags, run for your life.
Run.
You are not their family. Because if you're their family, listen, you're their family and they're going to turn around and put you on a pit. You're like family, but they're going to turn around and fire you as soon as they need some more money. You're like family, but they're going to force you into doing activities that you don't want to participate in. Is that family? No, stop it.
Oh my gosh. Lisa, you just hit on something. Archie and I are dying because I'm definitely team work family. It's probably the military in me where, no, these are my people. I got to take care of my people and keep them alive type of thing. And our DJ continues to tell me, stop saying that. It's so bad. And I'm like, no, like
Because
I actually care about these people.
And that I think is the difference. Okay, as an individual leader, I care about the people on my team, people who have reported to me. Like you care in that sense, one human being to another. The companies, the machine, the system, there's no caring there. So the two things can actually be true,
exist.
right? Yeah.
And none of that exists because as a leader, we talk about this, like we have a responsibility to take care of the people. If you're there in that position, you can't take that lightly. You're responsible to take care of the people. But this larger system doesn't exist. So I talk about this, and I left a workplace because I felt bullied and harassed. And so I left a workplace. And so I called my mom and I was just like bawling, I can't believe this is happening to me. And she's, girl, stop it. They don't owe you anything. You don't owe them anything, because who is them that you are crying over? And I was like, oh, show me empathy. But you're right. Like, she's so right. And that's the thing, right? You have a responsibility to your team, those individuals.
Not the system.
But this system, if you're not protecting yourself, no one's coming. We all say this. No one's coming to save you.
No one.
No one. No one. You're so right. And so for our audience, as we're having this chat here, you've heard us say this before, but you are in charge of your own life. It's you. Everything starts and ends with you. What you let in your headspace, what you block from your headspace, what you say yes to, what you say no to, all of that shapes your reality. The system's going to do what the system does, but you don't have to play by the same rules. You can choose to reclaim your power and do some other stuff. But again, it starts with you. So stop looking outside of yourself for answers.
I love that.
Like you have all you need to succeed, right? So Lisa, I have a question for you. So let's talk about kind of empowerment and personal growth here. Obviously, you're on Embracing Only here today. As you reflect on your journey, can you share an instance where being an only in a professional setting turned into an actual advantage? And how did that shape your approach to leadership and empowerment?
I have a few examples. I will say that there are two sides to being the only or being an only, right? There's this side where it can absolutely feel lonely. You can feel disconnected. You can sometimes feel invisible. Then there's the other side where it can absolutely be empowering and be a competitive advantage. And so I have been the only, there's so many different ways, the only woman, the only Black woman or Black person, the only person of a given generation or age group. Now, a while ago, it was younger. Now it's a little bit older, but either way. But each time, remember I said earlier, and I think this applies here, is that you have to know that you are the secret sauce and to find a way to look for ways that you can leverage your secret sauce and leverage your uniqueness into an advantage. And so there were times, for example, when I remember being basically the only woman in management and the youngest person on the team. I was in my 20s. And I parlayed that into I did a lot of training. I made myself as visible as possible. And then parlayed that into becoming probably one of the youngest marketing officers in the Caribbean for an all-inclusive. And so in my 20s, I was traveling the world. My territory was the United Kingdom, all of Europe, LATAM. I was doing the work. I was also living the life, which is a balance, right? Life-work balance. But yeah, that's definitely a case early on in my career where I'm like, okay, I'm the only and I'm the youngest, but I can still make this work and derive success from this. At the same time, I will not tell a lie. There were absolutely times when it was hard. There were times when it was hard. There were times when I felt the weight of, wow, I am the only woman on this team, or I am the youngest person, or whatever it happens to be. And it can be a bit of a burden, but there's always a way. There's always a way that you can flip that narrative, to change it to your advantage.
I love that, Lisa. And I will tell you, for all the Black women that I coach, I think sometimes, and this is going to be a generalization, not my normal data-backed patterns here. This is definitely an assumption. But of the women that I coach, so many of them come to me and say, well, I don't see anyone doing what I want to do. And that has such an effect on me. And me and my tough love way of guiding people, I'm typically like, girl, if you don't go do this thing,
be the first.
Maybe you're supposed to be the example for everybody else to follow. And so I urge you to know this in every area of my life, from wanting to be an engineer and then graduating a military academy and then going out into the field and being a naval engineer and then working for the company that I worked at and chasing the path in HR. It is quite often that I look around and I'm like, well, I guess I'm the one going to do this. It's okay. You don't need to see someone else. Now, is it helpful? Absolutely. I agree with you. When you're the only, I think the spotlight gets hot sometimes. Sometimes it'll make you work up a sweat a little bit. But what it gives you is visibility and accessibility. Two things that you need for success, right? In our format that we give people for career success, you need visibility and you need accessibility. Being an only almost guarantees you those two things. Should you choose to look at it as a competitive advantage instead of shying away from it because it's like, oh God, they see me. Yeah, girl, they see you. Work it. Right?
Yes, we always say this. It's not, oh no, they see me. It's, yes, they see me, see all of me. And you're going to have
all of the magic, all of the beauty, all of the amazingness, all of the intellect, all of the style, all of the creativity, all of it. They're going to get all of it.
Yes, and talking
about including the well-placed spice.
Yes.
When needed.
I did want to actually, something that you mentioned, Olivia, pinged something in my head in terms of not being able to, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So like culturally for me, having grown up in the Caribbean, grown up in Barbados, that was something that I think has helped me actually be quite confident in some ways. There's some ways where I'm not confident at all. But in terms of everybody that I saw, for the most part, everybody looked like me. And so just pick a walk of life, pick a job, pick a whatever it happens to be. Everybody everywhere looked like me. And so I knew that anything was, it wasn't even something I had to think about. I already knew that everything was possible, right? All of the, whether tradespeople, all of the people working in the post office, all the people working in all of the politicians, all the doctors, all the lawyers, all the teachers, you name it. Everybody looked like me. And so there definitely is value to being surrounded by people who look like you. And there is value to you not making that necessary a requirement for you to be success. Again, I will always say both things can be true. So there's value on both sides.
Wow, you're just making me finally reflect. Because I was a 17-year-old immigrant, and for 17 years, I only saw people who looked like me. And so when I stepped into America, I was like, I remember my friend who was from Congo, my dearest friend now, at that time was not my friend, and she was like, you're crazy. I don't want to be your friend, but then I made her my friend. But it was day one, and we're in front of the electrical engineering building. She sits down next to me. And she's the daughter of a diplomat. So she's traveled around the world. So she has experienced a lot. She had experienced as a 17-year-old numerous moments of being in places as an only. I had never experienced that. I'd only been in places where I was like many others. And so when you said that, it just finally hit. She sat down next to me and I was like, Magali, hi, I'm Archita. Like I knew the place. Like I was the mayor of Houghton, Michigan, population 5,000 in the middle of nowhere, Michigan. And I had just landed there 1 week before. But I was so confident in the fact that I was going to succeed. I was so confident that no matter that we have 300 inches of snow for 9 months of the year and 6 boys to 1 girl, like I was going to succeed, like it was going to happen. And I never considered this. I never considered what you just brought to life, that I had a huge advantage. I had a huge advantage. And I'm so grateful for that advantage because I didn't come in with preconceived societal like beliefs. Because I also had a dad who never thought that women should not have a place, like a lot of patriarchy in India and most of the world and all of that jazz. So I grew up in a very blessed environment. But just that is so critical, because the moments these thoughts started creeping in was when I chose to put myself in not the only environments, right? Moving to America, then getting into the corporate world. At 18, I've shared this story when I was in the career fair and I went up to my first company and I raised my hand out and I said, hi. And the person's not even asked me my name and he's, do you need a visa? That was his first response. I was like, don't ask me my name, but don't ask me anything. Do you need a visa? And I'm like this, again, naive 18-year-old who thinks anything is possible in this world. I suited up and I was like, yes, I do. He's like, I can't talk to you. Please leave the line. He did not even give me a chance to say, hi, I'm Archita, nothing. So my humanity was reduced to that piece of paper. But then, as I've shared, this is like the best part of the story, I guess. The next company I went to, there was this lovely man called Kevin. And hey, what's your name? And I said, it's Archita. And I stayed at that company for 16 years. So it's just amazing, right? What that can do for you and how that can shape you in your journey as an only.
And if I could piggyback on that, because I think that this is really interesting here. We all come from different backgrounds, but there's a common thread in this. And I think for me, growing up in Jamaica, so Lisa, like you, I grew up in Jamaica. And for me, yes, definitely saw a ton of people that look like me doing things. But Jamaica has this weird issue, and it's starting to get better, where it's like women don't do certain things. Women didn't play soccer. I played soccer, or football, as we call it. Women didn't do things like go be an engineer or do super technical things. And so I was told early, oh, women don't do that. Don't you want to instead be a chef or something? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what now? So for me, the like women don't do started early for me. But personally, and I think this is just the way I'm wired, I took that, I'm a hold my beer person. So if someone tells me you can't do this, I'm like, hold my beer, check this out. But it got me in trouble because I did realize early in my career, I ended up in these spaces because some Yahoo told me I couldn't do it. And so I was like, oh, I can't do it. Check this out. And now I'm here doing something.
I actually want to do this.
Like, do I? Yes. I didn't even think about if it's something I want. I was too busy setting out. The mission in my head was to go prove Yahoo's wrong. And at some point in time, I had to sit down and sit with that and be like, girl, who is driving this? Is it these other people? Because that's how my life started to play out. And so for our audience, I would say, no matter how you arrived here today, present spot that you're in, as you're sitting here listening to this episode, ask yourself, is this what I want? No matter what it is that you want, whatever you want, my loves, wants you to. Whatever you want and whatever is for you in this life will never pass you by. And so if you're in an environment that it is not like Archita described, the one Yahoo that, came with some audacity, sometimes that is the universe redirecting you, saying, hey, beautiful flower, this isn't the environment for you to bloom. Redirection, right? So sometimes some of these bad experiences that we have are for our own good to redirect us. But the important part is don't sit and wallow. Don't sit and wallow. Just redirect, because I promise you what's for you will always be.
And so at this point, we can pass the collection plate because that was church, right? I'm ready. Here you go. No, that was so good. It's every delay is not a denial, right? People think that no can sometimes just mean not. Sometimes it isn't no, and that's okay. But often in terms of like the universe and God and whatever you believe in, it just means not now. It just means pause, wait, something better is coming. Something better is coming. It's saying, beloved, I have a gift for you. I have a special present just wrapped up for you, but you just have to wait a little bit longer for it.
What I love about this waiting longer is that you've taken this waiting longer and created something beautiful out of it. And it's the great exhale. Because you're like, you might find yourself in these spaces. You need a place to breathe and breathe safely as you are building your next or like figuring out your how to. And so why are these like elements of having those safe spaces within professional settings so important to you that you are like on top of that absolutely unbelievable CV that we read out at the beginning. You were like, I'm going to build this community.
I think that sometimes the individual experience is actually universal without us realizing it, right? One's individual experience is actually universal without us realizing it. And so I knew what I was experiencing. And then as I looked around at other people, other influencers, other activists, and so on LinkedIn, I was, especially Black women, I was seeing more and more them talking about, oh, I'm exhausted, I'm burned out, I feel overwhelmed, I feel unsafe. Even in corporate spaces that are supposed to be safe, I still feel unsafe. And I know that there were many times that I had experienced that. In some cases, was actually in the midst of experiencing that. And so I thought, you know what? It's not just me. And if this is what I need, that means that this is what my sisters need as well. And we need a space that is for us, where we can be 100% just open, vulnerable if we want to, where we're not required to be, quote unquote, the strong Black woman, where we can take our superwoman's cape off and just be, just pause, just reflect. And actually what has been particularly fulfilling for me is the number of women that are a part of the Great Exhale that have said, hey, I'm on a sabbatical, right? I'm on a sabbatical from work. I've taken time from work. I'm choosing to make the Great Exhale a part of my healing journey. And that has just been incredibly fulfilling to see and experience. I don't want to add another thing, but I am actually a Reiki master. And so I'm like, should I say
Oh
this?
my gosh, stop.
Yes.
I told you. I told you that bio doesn't do you justice because your energy is just on a whole other level.
Well, it's at least partly because I'm a Reiki master. And this is my mom, as is my sister, which is one. Yes, we all are. I'm a Reiki master. And so I believe in healing. I believe in positive energy. I believe that if all of us can vibrate higher, then the world can be a better place. I know it sounds, you may think I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I know it sounds like that, but that really is what I believe. And so even something like Footwork Fridays, right? Now, some people think that it's, because some people,
I love it.
I'm like, you have to be a pretty sad person to not like Footwork Fridays, but that's a separate discussion. But some people don't like it because it's not serious enough and you're an activist and why are you doing this? Everything I do has an intention. So it might seem frivolous, right? It might seem frivolous, Archita, but it is done with intent. Every time I post a Footwork Friday video, it's okay. Somebody or bodies, some people are going to see this and feel better. It's going to elevate their energy. They're going to feel happier. If they're feeling happier, that means that the person that they might have been about to cuss out is not going to get cussed out. Right? It means that or whatever. That's just what came to mind. Maybe it's just me, but that's just what came to mind. Right? But it just means there's more positive energy just for that moment, for those couple of minutes. And then the goal is for that to cascade out like ripples in a pool of water. That is the goal. It's always to elevate the energy.
Literally, there have been Fridays where I'm just like, where's Lisa's Footwork Friday? Lisa, what time is it in America? I need it. Because sure, I can go on TikTok and I can find something. I don't anyway, but because I'm just not on TikTok and Instagram. But I love that there is intention.
Yeah, I want to hear. From both
I know
of you.
Olivia has a whole thing on this, and I'm going to let her actually bring us to a full store. Which is amazing. But I just want to say, go check it out because it is one of the biggest gifts you give us. Because I know that sometimes you are not vibrating at that high energy, but you still pour into that. And then eventually, I'm guessing as you listen, you read, you engage, it's helping you as well, right?
Thank you for receiving what I put out. And thank you also for realizing that there are times when it's, okay, I'm going to do this for the people. Sometimes you're doing it for yourself. Sometimes you do it for the people. I'm going to do it for the people. There are days like that. And so thank you for being receptive and empathetic and emotionally intelligent. I appreciate that.
Oh my gosh, Lisa, the Footwork Fridays give me life. Lisa knows this. Being born in the Caribbean, it doesn't take anything for us to move. So you're literally the Footwork Friday. I will turn the volume on because I don't know, for whatever reason, as an introvert myself, I don't typically turn the volume on any of these posts. But girl, I will turn them on and I'm over here like this because frequently, and people are going to laugh at me, but I'm frequently having to manage my energy so I don't smack someone at work, right? Like it just is what it is. That's how HR is, right? Like we get all the challenges in HR. So you really have to manage that energy. I think I did a post on this a week ago, moving with intention. If I could contribute to this world in any positive way, it is making people mindful of the energy that they're putting out into the world and the energy that they allow into themselves. It's part of consumption. When we talk about self-care, and which is what you talk about a lot with the Great Exhale and just managing that, nothing helps with self-care more than managing what energy has access to you. And so it is so important on social media. Archita said she's not on TikTok. Well, outside of doing my intentional posting, I tend to not consume a lot of the negativity that's happening in social media because it pulls your vibration down. And when you start to feel sad and ugly and like you start to put off that same prickly energy and it infects everyone around you, right? So if you find yourself, my low vibrational friends out there, making a snarky comment on a fun post, girl, go meditate. Get you some sage. I don't know, go outside, breathe some fresh air or something, because you could have just kept it moving. But for those of us that want to inject some positivity into this world, do it. And I want to piggyback, this is my last thought on this. When you put out high vibrational energy stuff out there, some of us are afraid of what negativity will come our way. Archita and I spoke about this, right? I think we're talking about authenticity. And some folks are afraid to show up as their authentic selves because they're afraid of what negativity they will receive back from the world. And they put their authentic selves out there. And here's what I will tell you. You're going to get the negativity. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. But you're also going to get the positivity. And when you put your authentic self out there, your village can find you. Your village can't find you if you hide. And this is for my introverts, because I am one of them too. And I would much rather hide behind anything than put myself out there on social media. Archita has been all over me about just getting my voice out there. It makes me want to throw up every time I do it. But your people can't find you if you're not willing to put yourself out there. So look at the bright side.
Before we started recording, Chita and I were talking about growing on social media and that whole process and about exactly that, showing up authentically, showing up consistently, just being your genuine self, not purchasing engagement or just showing up and letting the process just be and knowing that who is meant to find you will find you. Who is meant to find you will find you. Who is meant to read your messages will read it. And honestly, there are times where we all go through this. You post something and it feels, okay, it's just gone into the ether and disappeared. And you're like, hello. But sometimes, I'm telling you, sometimes your message is for a person. And you might be seeing it. You might be looking at metrics and thinking, wow, I just got 1 or I just got 10 likes. But guess what? That's the like that you were meant to get because that's the person that was meant to read it. And I know it is hard. But that's a way of sometimes tricking your mind and just be okay with however the metrics show up. Just be okay with it and know that the message is going to get to where it needs to get to. And then another thing I wanted to say about being sure to put positive content out there is actually, well, before I started the Great Exhale, I'm on TikTok and I decided, you know what, again, this is how I am feeling. Maybe other people could benefit from this. And I started just doing positive affirmations on TikTok. You know, like you both said, being on social media, people will tell you any old thing. They will comment any old thing. They will just come out there, I don't know, the trolls from the underbridge and just say anything to you. And it can be hard. You're a human being. And so there are times where I was like, okay, this is feeling hard for me. And I just need to speak positivity to myself, affirm myself. Other people might benefit. And so that's how the affirmations thing started on TikTok. But it's always about how can I heal myself? How might other people benefit in that order? Put your mask on first.
Maybe I'll have to get TikTok to watch you, Lisa, because I don't even get on TikTok. So
And yeah, I'll drop a few on LinkedIn in the Great Exhale.
Yes. Sometimes Lisa graces us with some of the TikTok videos, and I'm just like here for it. I'm like, yes, I need that energy. I want to pull some nuggets. And then, Lisa, I'm going to request you to share how people can reach you, how they can join the Great Exhale, where they can find you, how they can support, donate, and truly show up for each other in the workplace, and the many ways we can do it with the Great Exhale as well. So some of the nuggets you dropped was the mastery over your time is the biggest wealth you have. Beautiful. The other one was we don't control the system, but we're a critical component of it. So the more of us decide that, the system changes. And I think, Olivia, this was one of your gems. And then this whole thing that kind of brought us together was energy, right? Which is if we can all vibrate higher, the world can be at a better place. And you choosing, Lisa, every single day to show up with intention to, one, put your mask on, but then ensure that once it's on, you give an opportunity for all of the others to have their masks on, is the most selfless and most beautiful thing one can ever do as a leader through this world. So thank you. And we're so grateful to have you here on the Embracing Only podcast.
My heart is so full. I'm out of words. I was so excited when you all asked me to be your guest. I genuinely very excited. And this has been everything that I thought it would be and more. And it's felt like just a wonderful conversation among friends. And it's just been a beautiful experience. And so thank you both so much. In terms of how people can reach me, I'm on LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn. I think my username it's just my name, Lisa Hurley. You should be able to find it. I'm on all of the socials. Either look up Lisa Hurley or look up Happy Phoenix. That's a whole nother. Yeah, this was back in the day before I used common sense. And I was like, oh, what would be a really pretty name? And so, so you can find me on like Instagram, for example, at Happy Phoenix.
Love it.
And then for the Great Exhale, you can go to thegreatexhale.com. And that's how people can join and or learn more about the company. And then in terms of supporting, there are ways where I also have for the Great Exhale public facing website, right? So, which is it's thegreatexhale.com. And so going to that URL, you can find ways where you can give gift memberships to the Great Exhale. That's one wonderful way to support, support the company, which is wonderful, but more importantly, support Black women in your organization, in your circle, in your friend group. That's a wonderful way to do it.
Thank you again, Lisa, for all you do. And I hope everyone goes and checks out all of Lisa's content. You won't be sorry, I promise. So as always, team, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And until next time,